Yes, I'm gonna.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Seriously. This way. You okay here?
Yes, I'm ready.
Instructions.
Yes, I'll wait.
You'll be fine. Yeah. Anything else you need? Yes,
I know where to tell.
yeah, that's really fine.
It's just like a, I mean, technically in the front anyway.
Well, send me a text message.
Hello, people. How are we doing? Sound check. The sound check. That's not a show. That's not a show. The sound check.
Good evening. Is this turned on? Yes. Hello? Good evening. Hello, and welcome to the Chelsea Theatre for the Creative Writing Showcase from OpenAge. Before we begin, first of all, my name is Tommy. I'm one of the creative writing tutors.
And I'm Tracy, another creative writing tutor.
And we're your hosts for this evening.
Yes,
So
we're
bear
your
with us
hosts.
as we first of all, I just have to do a little bit of housekeeping. So there's no alarms that are planning to go off. So if we hear an alarm, please go up through the nearest fire exit, which is just there. And if anyone needs any support or any help this evening, there's some people from OpenAge. Could you make yourselves known? Okay, so there we are. So if anyone needs any, I'm there, fantastic. So all sides covered. If anyone needs anything, just, we've got people to help. The performance this evening is going to last about an hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. But, thank you all for coming, and I'll hand you over to Tracy.
Okay, well, hello everybody. Just to say that it's a bit of a privilege being a creative writing tutor. I'm sure Tommy will agree. And because you get to share all these amazing stories every week. It's really, really one of the loveliest jobs in the world, well, definitely for me anyway. And today's performance showcases the work of OpenAge's inspiring creative writing groups. So I think we've got about 7 groups here tonight. And they bring writers together from a wide range of backgrounds, experiences and interests. And the groups meet, most of the groups meet weekly, they try out new tasks, they do free writing exercises, and they develop their work in a safe, supportive, fun environment. That's what we're aiming for. So, shall I pass it over to you then, Tommy? It's your group first.
Exactly. So my group first. So this group is called the Pimlico Scribes, and we've been meeting every Monday. Quite fun and dedicated bunch, drawing on everything from their own sort of lived experience to fiction and poetry. If I could ask you all just to give them a round of applause as we welcome the Pimlico Scribes. Fantastic. Lovely. So let's get started. First of all, it's my pleasure to welcome Andrew McCall, who is reading Charity Red Guitar.
Cherry Red Guitar, once smashed on stage. Why would anyone bet on a Hard Rock Cafe charity? Well, am I wrong? A conversation piece? Or a symbol of my obsession? The money is going to charity. Yeah, but why don't I donate directly to Duncan's Archery? A smashed Fender Stratocaster that's of no use to anybody. Putting it together again will defeat the purpose. Once played by Pete Townsend, the smashing of guitars had grown thin in England by 67. America opened up new avenues, new youth rebellion, new stages to pound. But in the 21st century, it's no longer a symbol of rebellion. It's an indulgence, an anachronism. I'd rather listen to his songs than watch wanton destruction by someone who, I guess it should perform with dignity and grace. What stance has he taken? It's a little known fact. Townsend, before he went on stage, would take hacksaw to the neck of his guitar. I would swap anything to have been there in Glasgow in 1965. Back then, that was excitement. Nowadays, £1,000 before a show asks his roadies, where's the nearest chemist? I need my suppositories. My hemorrhoids are playing up something awful. In the 60s, it was sex, drugs and rock and roll. Today, it's AIDS, addiction and mental illness.
That was Anthony DeWall. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Brenda.
I am reading Nature Reclaims Itself. The leaves are here, blowing in the wind, as part of the frequencies the earth does spin. First comes the nature, so strong and kind, to grow everything on it, it's so divine. Back in the day when nature was wild, so full of promise, nurturing us all. Wonderful trees that grow so tall. But now the human monsters have trod on me, bringing their bricks and mortar to place on my trees, clearing the land with no care at all, building their high rises of things so tall. The wonder and beauty is failing to see. You should go and leave my ground. I was here first, now you may not be. My plants and trees and fairies too have no place to go, because you destroyed my land and you think you know all. There needs to be waves and water over me to rid of you all, so I again can grow tall. Thank you.
I'd love to introduce Brian Morrison, whose name sadly is not in the programme, but Brian is on the front cover and is a fantastic musician and writer. If you can put your hands together for Brian.
The smell of lipstick. John never liked the smell of lipstick. When his mother got all dolled up and ready to go out to dinner with his father, she'd use a little makeup, and the smell of lipstick dominated the air of the whole day. She didn't look happy on these occasions. In fact, she appeared stressed, but she wore her gold jewellery and the beige Aquis Putin coat that he had bought her. John had no idea where they would go. He was just pleased that his parents were going out and the house would be empty, so that he could invite friends around and they could listen to records at a loud volume, not worrying about bothering the neighbours. Next door lived an elderly lady who never remarked to John about the loud music, whenever he paused to say hello in passing. She might be weeding her front garden on a Sunday afternoon, and John would venture a few words. Nice day for it, Mrs. Blenkinsop. Very lovely day, she would reply, straightening her back. She was a popular woman, a widow since her husband passed on 3 years previously. They had been childless, but Mrs. Blenkinsop liked to chat with the young ones on the avenue whenever she had the chance. John was 15 and had grown up knowing his neighbours. He'd always lived at number 2 since being delivered at the Royal Infirmary. And the Blenkinsops had always lived at number 4. Not all the neighbours were as friendly as Mrs. Blenkinsop. They lived in number 3 on the opposite side of the avenue, an elderly spinster, Miss Alexander, and she would often threaten to burst a football if it came over the fence into her front garden. The kids would mock Miss Alexander, and she accused them of deliberately kicking a ball into her garden. But it was a quiet avenue. Nothing out of the ordinary happened there. But once, a magnificent swan landed in the middle of the road and stayed there all day. John's father had told him not to approach the bird as it might bite, and he said that one swipe of the wing could break your arm. So the local kids kept their distance and gazed until tea time. By nightfall, the swan had gone. The only swans John had seen until then were in the small lake behind the museum at the town centre, a few miles away. museum was a source of amazement. On the upper floors were models of ships, which was good. And on the ground floor, all kinds of stuffed animals were displayed under fluorescent lights. There was a male lion, a tiger, a polar bear, and trays full of preserved beetles and insects, which John examined meticulously on his way home from school. And next up, we have Janet Wilkes with her poem A Soldier Returns on Halloween.
A soldier returned home after many months away. He remembered the main road on which he lived, the gate, the garden, the door. He had gained freedom for the world, but no one cared, and flags had been removed, and the management had sent round emails asking residents to be considerate of neighbours during Halloween, which, although they didn't know it, is a demonic ritual raising spirits from the dead to terrify those with post-traumatic stress. Then a child came round, rat-a-tat-tatting on doors, wearing a skeleton top and shouting, "Trick or treat!" And the soldier showed the child his rucksack filled with specially packed American meat. "Ah," said the child. "What, you don't like it?" said the soldier. "Well, would you like some evaporated milk? Or a jar of butter?" "No, no, no," screamed the child. "I don't want any of those treats. I want treats like I said. Nice, proper treats." Next day, outside, waiting at the bus stop, a conversation started between two women old enough to have an informed two-way talk, and both nodded their knitted, woolly-hatted heads and said, "Disgusting. It wouldn't have happened when we were shown. We never had any treats, and what we had, we gave to soldiers. It's disgusting." That's what I think, dear. It's just disgusting.
Thank you, Janet. And next up, we have Michael Frank reading Mary Wants a Simple Day.
Mary wants a simple day. Languid, that's how she felt, as if she was falling in or out of love, in or out of her feelings, in or out of her prim little mind, with her muscles tensed and her eyes set to kill, absconding from the kill, hoping to be bigger today than she was yesterday. Hope followed her around like a ghost she would leave saucers of milk out for. But up she stood. Limerence would not kill her after all. She was wrapped in 2 red blankets, hairy, thick, soft comfort, as comfort should be, clean, precise, meticulous, an aspect of a life she was happy with now, here at the beach, among the cliffs, watching her children play. An embryo became a thing, became a noise, a purpose, a bond, a thing to serve, to mould and discard. Fluorescent lights fired in her head as she saw the dog approach. Zigzag, black, lazy, undisciplined, his nose shooting him up, down, left, right, longing for a gun, She walked towards it and held out her hand. It barked at the terror in her eyes, knew that terror, greeted and retreated from that terror. Years later, she sat in her living room looking at photos. A cloudy day, a dull mood, all the photos, memories, lies, all tried to tell her what she felt on that day. She looked at her cup and it felt more real than any of that. But then, no, was it? She looked at the large shell on the mantelpiece next to that unnecessary clock she spent so much energy to acquire. If she held it up to her ear, could she hear the sea? Would she hear the children's screams? Would she smell their limbs scattered, tossed into sea? No, the clock ticked. She could last this day as she had yesterday. She could move slowly and do it. Whatever was put in front of her, she could do it.
Thank you, Michael. And now if I could introduce Rashida Rahman, reading She Just Let Go.
She just let go. She walked away from arguments that led her to anger, people who deliberately put her down, pleasing those who never saw but undermined her worth. Peace of mind from judgmental people that struggled themselves. When mistakes and fears once determined her fate, she lived there in her life. She just let go. The more she walked away from the things that poisoned her soul, the healthier she became, the clearer things was understood. That religion, without consciousness, was just a costume. She understood the defect, attack, reverse, victim, offender was just a game many love to play. Once the rain is over, the umbrella becomes a burden that was so clear to detect. She just let go. It took a while to know that she was not an overthinker, just a bloody freaking genius. That ignorance was a perspective. It was stupidity with confidence, emptiness with volume, confusion trying to dress up as intelligence, because nobody had the nerve to call it out for what it was. The voice within shouted and stood up once again. You are worthy, deserving of all that you desire. You are enough, just as you are. That no had power without explanation. No is a full sentence. Full stop, end of story. Beautiful, adorable, wonderful, unique being, approved of for happiness, love, and abundance. Joy is everywhere and everything you touch. Not insecure, just noticing everything. Not a trust issue. It was the brain noticing and recognizing patterns of envy, jealousy, rejection, insecurity. She had mistaken the tired heart for weakness. Some souls go cold after carrying too much for far too long. The light inside her had not gone out. It was resting. Even the sun disappears each night, forever forgetting how to rise. In a world addicted to attention and flakiness, red carpet thirst, emotional vandalism and tap dancing on hearts, superiority complex, ignorance, arrogance, she chose peace, the most powerful, flexible. Just like that. No yesterday, airs, no graces, no maybe, maybe not. This moment was all she had. She just let go.
Thank you to the Penny Post Choir for getting this evening going, and I'd love to hand over to Tracy. Put your hands together one more time. Thank you.
would like to see your way. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. So you can see your way up. See if you can find a place. Brilliant. So good already to hear all those amazing perspectives on life, and I think that's what we get as creative writing teachers, and that's what we're having. It's just really nice to sit and be read to, and I remember I used to love my dad telling me stories. He used to tell me Brer Rabbit, but it was quite frustrating because he laughed so much he couldn't actually get the story out. But it was beautiful to sit here and be told such amazing stories. So thank you. Let's hear it again for Pimlico Scribes. Yeah, Pimlico Scribes. Thank you very much. Now I think this is Julie's class. I'm not sure if Julie's here tonight, but is she here? Yes. Okay. Hello to Julie, and this is her amazing class. I think we creative writing tutors don't often get to hang out together. We're always doing different days and things. So that's lovely that she's here. Hopefully we'll get a wine in later. So this wonderful group are called the Cemetery Gates Writers. So could we have a huge round of applause for them? While they're getting sorted, I'll tell you a little bit about them. It says here, we'll decide about this. A rag bag of secret scribblers, aspiring memoirists and urban poets who meet once a week opposite Brompton Cemetery to share stories, inspiration, writing prompts and, the most important thing, chocolate biscuits. Under the tutelage of writer and creative writing teacher Julie Gartman, classes cover the basics of characterization, story shape, and demands of different genres. So, welcome. Come in and have a chair. If you'd all like to come in and sit down, take a seat. I recognise some of these wonderful students. Yeah, lots of familiar faces here. So first up, we have Butterfly Sultani with My Name is Persha.
My name is Persia. Today, I want to tell you my story after 1979. When the revolution swept across my land, I was filled with hope. I said to myself, at last, I have freed myself from those who coveted me. My children will finally inherit my wealth and claim the place in the world that is rightfully theirs. But now, after more than 4 decades, if I were to remove my clothes, you would see that my body is covered in wounds. My bone is filled with blood and pus from the countless rapes I have endured through these years. Even the stench makes me sick. Yet, Do not lose hope in me. For deep within me, a light still burns. My inner fire has never been extinguished. But I must be honest. I have lost my trust in almost everything. And I can no longer make peace with betrayal. I know the wave of hope that once lived within me and my children has long since faded. Their unity has fractured. They even imprisoned the angel who always inspired me. How can you explain it? Sometimes I feel as though futility is all slowly dissolving me. At times I think all my dreams have vanished. What else can I say? These who claim to own me have put my every existence up for auction. They exploited guilt and fear to tighten their grip over me and my children, trapping them in chains both visible and invisible. My pigeons have either flown away or been caged, and those who rule over me and like venomous serpents, poisoning reason, truth, and every voice of logic. I'm tired, so very tired. Do you understand? Tired of all those masks, tired of the deception, tired of the endless lies. But do not worry. One day I still rise again. Do you know why? Because my true children still exist. Many have been executed in prison. Many are then in prison still. Many have become migrant bears, wandering from one unknown to another. Yet, every one of them continue to search for freedom, for dignity, and for the home that is truly theirs. One day, I will break every visible and invisible chain that ignorance, deceit, and tyranny have wrapped around me. I believe in myself because I'm a phoenix. You will see my rise from my own ashes. I'm a diamond forged under unimaginable pressure. I will not break. No, I will never die. Again and again, I will return from my own death. Again and again, I will be born from my own ashes. No, I will never die. I know who I am. One day, I will be free. You will see. You will all see.
Just checking, is Julie here? Do you want to come and introduce? Yeah. That was wonderful, by the way. Sorry, Julie, I put you on the spot, but I think they're your class, and I think it would be lovely.
Let's start. Carol Hammond, Bangkok, London.
Hello, my name is Carol Hammond, and this poem is called Is Moonlight Scary? When I was young,
much younger than now. I wasn't aware of the moon's brilliance, its waxing and waning, its uncommon phases. I sometimes glimpsed the moon when it was full from my bedroom window. I felt restless, rootless. The moon was distant, hard and cold. My mother too. The screams erupted silently. I tossed and turned, had nightmares. Tigers and lions would frequent my dreams. The moon, like an alien landscape, seemed to smile eerily. Moon Mother, the feminine principle, unsettles great movements of water. I was drowning, floating, deeper and deeper into the deep. There was never a safe place. Where was my safe place? Where was my safe place? Then the door in my mind opened. I couldn't see who or what it was. An absence of words. Me suspended, upended. A deep darkness where creatures creep, slither or scurry incessantly, or they roar their loudest, deepest, frightening roars. Is moonlight scary? Yes, sometimes very much so.
Next we've got Ginny Debell reading A Random Object.
A mundane object. I know I'm only a porcelain mug with roosters painted on it, but I have more depth than you think. Being a run-of-the-mill kitchen dweller, I was surprised to be voted CEO of the kitchen worktop. The family have no idea of the lives we lead, so I just thought I'll ask Jeffrey, my teapot friend, who is in charge of the post-it board, to give me a perfect ink gel pen to write our story. We live in a large kitchen with long cedar shelves and perfect marble worktops, superb ovens, and really a very large room to manage. My mistress is a woman who loves to cook. There are many cooking utensils, brushes, knives, peelers, and lots of gadgets to make preparation easy and efficient. Beautiful glasses, metal casseroles and pans, Japanese bowls and chopsticks. Sometimes I feel dizzy just looking at my kingdom, and don't forget the broccoli. La Creuset is a French brand and very expensive, made of iron and painted light blue. The casserole dishes are world famous. Madame La Creuset is a she and behaves in a very uppity way when she deigns to speak to us. Tomorrow I'll give a speech to all our utensils and crockery, whilst looking directly at Le Creuset and inform her that no one is superior in this kitchen and that respect to each other must be observed at all times. Why, yesterday we had to put the heavy black tin opener in solitary confinement for 2 days to clean the teaspoons. It did work, by the way. Now we have a problem with the new kitchen maid, as she's very rough when she's washing and drying us, banging and clanging and throwing us into drawers. I'll sort that out though soon. Our water tap piped up and volunteered to give the maid a few squirts with hot water. I said no, although I kept a straight face. We adore our beautiful kitchen and our mistress loves us. So the crux of the matter is, we are blessed and happy here and give thanks every day. Oops, who smashed that glass?
Thanks very much, Jimmy. So next up, John John Carthy is going to read Drink Shakespeare.
I'm going to make a slight adjustment to that and give it a more pungent title, and I'm going to read a poem entitled Drunk Shakespeare. Falstaff, fat, jovial, brim, full of sherry, and a face that's red as the proverbial cherry. Sir Toby Belch, aptly named, always hissed, a chance to get pie-eyed was never missed. Stefano, Trinculo and Caliban, wow, did they guzzle and guzzle and guzzle, man. As Cassio gets into a drunken brawl, what follows is his dramatic fall. When we look at poor Ophelia's demise, Taylor Swift or Shakespeare, who is more correct and wise? Never forget our friend Laporta. Let's choose him. I think we oughta. And there is a second part, but before I get to the second part, just in case you're wondering how have I shoehorned Taylor Swift into a largely Shakespeare poem, I'm sure many of us know in her most recent album, she has written, the lyrics are fantastic, she has written a song entitled Ophelia, all about Ophelia in Hamlet. And the reason that I have shoehorned Ophelia in Hamlet into my Shakespeare rogues drinking gallery is Shakespeare uses a wonderful line about Ophelia's death. Accident or suicide, people must make up their own minds, but he says of Ophelia's death, her garments were heavy with drink. Her garments were heavy with the drink of muddy water. And the second part of my Drunk Shakespeare poem is, let's choose him, I think we oughta. Never forget our friend the porter. Taylor Swift or Shakespeare, who is more correct and wise when we look at poor Ophelia's demise? What follows is a dramatic fall as Cassio gets into a drunken brawl. Wow, did they guzzle and guzzle and guzzle, man? Stefano, Trinculo and Caliban. A chance to get pie-eyed was never missed. Sir Toby Belch, aptly named, always missed. And a face that's red as the proverbial cherry, Falstaff, fat, jovial, brim, full of sherry.
We've got Kathleen Taylor now, and she's going to read Taken.
didn't see because I was looking at the dog. In a trice, she was gone. Great machine suddenly folded like an octopus on wavy tendrils. It bounced up into the air and was away before Army, Police and Air Force arrived. Girl abducted by aliens round headlines. Posters were set up everywhere, all over the world in fact. Her picture, offer of a huge reward if anyone saw her. What else can be done? It could be that they will return her someday. It has been known to happen. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much indeed to the Cemetery Gates writers. Let's hear it again. Brilliant. Now do not be alarmed. We're just going to downstairs. They haven't got any sound, I don't think. So are they coming up? Okay, so we will just stop for a second. Well, I will just rabbit in the background like I usually do while people come in because they couldn't hear downstairs. So we might as well fill these places and get cozy. Come on, everybody. Come on in. And while we're doing this, I'll give you a little, just in case you've got any would-be writers, I'm sure, well, we've got lots of writers in the audience now, and I'm sure lots of you are writers also, who've come to support our open age writers. But just to say, if you are scared of the blank page, and sometimes we can all be scared of the blank page and look at it and we're thinking, where do I start? What do I do? It's the summer holidays, you want to do a little bit of writing. Do some free writing. And there are different types of free writing that you can do. One is totally unguided free writing, and one of my students gave it the title, A Brain Dump. And basically, I set a timer, but it's going to be you. So set your timer, give yourself 4 minutes, and pencil, blank page, and just write anything that comes to your head for 4 minutes, okay? Just keep going and keep going. Do not worry about spelling, do not worry about punctuation, just fill that page. And you might end up with a brilliant sentence or a whole, if you don't know what to write, this is what you do, you write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, until you do get inspiration. Or you can do some guided free writing. So you go, I want to do some writing, not sure what to write, all right. Look at your bookshelf and say, I'm going to count 6 books along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to look at page 6 and I'm going to take the 6th line that I find and I am going to use that as my starting line. And that is a really fun, thanks Tony, that is a really fun exercise because it gives you the tone of a different writer that you didn't have before. And I often do that with poetry. And one of the lines that I found works well is, here I am driving a blue mini metro through a red light. And so it puts you in the first person, writing in the first person. That's from a Raymond Antrobus poem, but you know, you're already in the action, you're already starting the story, and again set the timer. So yes, so that's just a little creative writing hint for you while while we were filling up the space. Oh, I did it. But I lost my glasses. And one of the classes, you'll learn so much more. Okay, so this is my creative writing class here. And we are called the Chelsea Scribblers. Let's hear it. Let's give it. Now we're full now, so come on, let's take the roof off for the Chelsea Scribblers. Brilliant. Okay, I don't know which way they're coming from. Oh, no, they're not here yet. Here they come. Come on, Garden. Come and get yourselves comfortable. Find a place. You're going to be great. The time goes too quickly, so when you're up there, just go up and enjoy it. Okay, are you going to come and read? Not yet, later. Okay, no. Okay. All right. So, just to tell you a little bit about the Chelsea Scribblers, the group is a combination of long-standing members and those who've joined more recently. We share a love of writing and a desire to explore different writing techniques. And, well, I'm reading from the page, but really, we just have great fun on a Tuesday, and we try out lots of different things. We like, sometimes it's poetry. This term, we did this funny exercise in which I made them write a whole piece which only included one vowel. They had to pick which vowel. So if they picked E, they had to write, all their words had to use only the vowel E. There was almost dissent when I gave them that. All right, but I love them. So here we go. Let's hear it for Ansuya Patel. The summer I read tarot cards at the clothes show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Trixie. That exercise we did was great. Reading tarot cards at the close show. Tarot cards for beginners I read. Understand again. Tarot cards for beginners with Red and Root. I enrolled that afternoon. I was between jobs paying the mortgage on a flat where my boyfriend and I lived. And every monthly payment sat like a weight on my back. Every Wednesday I travelled to Highgate where Stephen and Gemma taught four of us round the dining table, scattered with tarot deck and notebooks. The lessons were relaxed, almost conspiratorial. We learnt the meanings of the cards, but more importantly, had to read the story from the pictures laid before us. I enjoyed every class, yet the thought of reading to strangers filled me with dread. On the final evening, Stephen smiled. We booked a stand at the close show in Birmingham. Anyone who wants to come and join, is £50 was the cost of the stand. I'm interested, I blurted. As the weekend approached, panic settled in. What if I could get the meanings? What if someone asked a question I couldn't answer? And if they realised I had no idea what I was doing? The night before, I wrapped my Morgan Greer tarot deck in a powdered blue silk scarf scattered with silver stars, as though confidence might somehow travel with it. The exhibition hall pulsed with pop music, hairspray mingled with expensive perfume, sequins flashed beneath bright strip lights, while models hurried past in impossible heels. A booth sat quietly in one corner, draped in navy velvet, crystals catching the light, beside a single ivory candle, a tiny island of mystery in a sea of fashion. I wore a crimson bias-cut dress, large silver hoop earrings brushed my shoulders, swinging against the long black curls, my skin glowing like a gypsy. Have you ever had your cards read? I asked her. She slowed down as she passed me. She smiled. No, I don't know what to expect. I invited her to sit down. My grandmother used to read palms, I said, smoothing the cards between us. Perhaps it runs in the family. She shuffled shuffle the deck, I turned over the first card. My fingers suddenly felt clumsy. The 8 of Swords, a blindfolded woman surrounded by blades. Have you been feeling trapped? I asked. Something shifted in her face. I hate my job. My boss is a fucking creep, she said. Every morning we sit in the car outside the office hoping something happens so I don't have to go in. I realised then the cards were giving me answers, they were opening conversations. The next woman leaned across the table. It's my husband, having an affair. The moon appeared beside the 7 of Cups. Confusion, uncertainty, shadows. I can't tell you what your husband is doing, I said quietly, but it sounds as though you've been living with doubt for a long time. She stared at the cards. I think I've known that for months. Before, I'd written down the payment, another woman sat beside me, chewing her thumbnail. I've been offered a job in Australia, she said. Everyone says I should go. Why can't I decide? The 2 of Wands, then a world. I looked at the cards before meeting her eyes. Sometimes the thing that frightens us the most is the thing that's asking us to grow. Her eyes filled with tears. The questions kept coming. Will I ever meet someone? Should I leave my marriage? Why do I feel so stuck and lost, she said. Somewhere between the first reading and the last, I understood that people were really painful predictions. They wanted someone to listen without interrupting. On Sunday afternoon, a queue stretched beyond the booth. My fellow students had long pauses between clients, for I rarely had time to drink a glass of water. Across the hall, I caught Stephen watching. He simply smiled and raised his eyebrows, as if he couldn't believe the queue either. By the time he packed away, my voice had almost disappeared. My head felt full of other people's lives, heartbreak, loneliness, impossible choices, small flickers of hope. I counted the money, £800. I counted it again. On the drive home, my boyfriend glanced across at me. You've had a busy weekend. I have, I said. Outside the motorway, lights slipped past like stars. We need to talk when you get home, I said. I closed my eyes and quietly rehearsed the words. Thank you.
Wonderful. And next up, Avril Thomas.
Climbing over Chelsea Bridge. Walking over Chelsea Bridge. Walking over Chelsea Bridge, the raining deluge pelted down. I saw a suicide bid. Thank God the person lived. The Thames damp, dark, the waves troubled, the current strong. The person who in not wanting life now so very much wanted life to live. Arms flame, failing above waters clean, white light fleck brown. On a body seen, swept along embankment where in months of May, Chelsea flashing, held in full floral roar. Cars unaware streamed on past, rain-mist windows fogged their lives, drove on relentless, drove on by. And came a tugboat, trolleys, containers, colour red, yellow in dutiful line, on its daily riverway. The tugboat saw the desperate waving arms of those who stood upon the bridge, useless to help, impotent to save, and threw into the water 2 orange lifebelts round, 1 lifebelt found. Newber ferry came along, picked up the person too far away to see, a person who could be you, who could be me, who in not wanting life, now so very much wanted life to live. Without a pause, like an everlasting dream, river and life, was, is now, and will go on and on and on and on. Now I who love the Thames cannot bear to look on those damp, dark, murky waters, green, white light, fleck brown. Walking over Chelsea Bridge, the raining deluge filtered down. I saw a suicide bid. Thank God the person lived.
Come on, Garda. So we have Garda Skillan.
The bot. I must be recharged back, hoping to revive me, or shake me until my electronic wires begin to spark. I can't move an inch. I'm an artificial friend, but she thinks she bought an artificial cleaner. She liked the look of me in the shop, neat, well turned out, looking almost human. I've tried to explain to her that I'm not an AC, but an AF. It's no use. She's convinced that I'm lying, dodging housework. At her command, I've been hoovering, scrubbing, washing up, and dusting over and over for hours. This happens every day, although the place is spotless. With her undiminished insistence on unnecessary daily chores, she had already dismissed a series of maids at a rate of knots. I'm programmed to obey and not argue. I pray she returns me to the shop soon. One day, I decided to explain to her that this can't go on. Someone had made a mistake and delivered her the wrong pot. She was drinking her tea and helping herself to cucumber sandwiches, and I was about to warm up to my subject when I noticed she began to cough and choke. Her face turned crimson. I applied the Heimlich maneuver, and a piece of cucumber sandwich shot out and landed on the display cabinet, which housed her collection of glass figurines. She sprang up, whipped out a duster and began to clean the mess with vim and vigour. The pink elephant with his raised trunk and her favourite miniature flamingo with its spindly legs started to wobble. Before she could react, they fell over. The elephant lost his trunk, and the flamingo's legs were severed. Apparently, it was all my fault. She blamed me for the breakages in her cabinet. I was promptly sent back to the shop the very next day. Bots don't usually pray, but someone must have answered.
Certainly. And now we have Pamela Carr with Pensioners at Play.
Thank you. Okay, pensioners of play, a theme I think many of us can relate to. Late in the day at the local supermarket, a formidable gang of pushy pensioners were assembling by the shelves, where an assistant would soon deposit reduced items at the limit of their sell-by date. This evening, two experienced combatants had managed to secure premium positions, expertly using their trolleys to block the access of other customers. At 80, Elsie, whose husband had failed to provide her with the opulence and easy life she craved, now lived to acquire goods on the cheap. She was not destitute, but her disappointed expectations had hardened her into a bundle of determined malice directed against the rest of humanity. In comparison, Alfred, at 86, was disadvantaged by an extra 6 years of decay, but had the advantageous effects of testosterone to assist him. He was deeply contemptuous of the weaker sex. His wife, when alive, was forever complaining about feeling ill, mysterious pains and headaches, and had failed to live up to the wifely standards of cooking, cleaning and household services he had expected to obtain through marriage. Eventually, she selfishly and ungratefully died, leaving him to fend for himself. It was an evenly matched battle. Alf's eyes alighted on a Charlie Bigham's beef bourguignon at half price, but Elsie snatched it first, and she was already eyeballing the other ready meals closer to him. In retaliation, he scooped up all 5 of them and dumped them in his trolley. But in doing so, he uncovered a real prize, a luxury sherry trifle, reduced to only 1/4 of its original price. Both dived forward and grasped the item. Alf, using his superior muscle power, managed to pull it from Elsie's grasp. But he had underestimated her ruthless nature. Her walking stick jabbed into his shin and he relaxed his grip in shock. Elsie snatched the trifle back. A furious Alf made another grab for it. Unfortunately, the packaging of the trifle had not been designed for such violent treatment. The sheet of plastic sealing the trifle within the bowl gave way, and the contents spattered outwards, splashing onto the clothing of the 2 pugilists, as well as a few of the closer customers. The bowl, now lubricated with a coating of custard, slid from the grasp of both and fell to the floor, creating an undesirable slip hazard in the aisle. After this fiasco, Elsie and Alfred both felt it wise to shuffle away as rapidly as possible, Alfred hissing through his dentures and Elsie tutting loudly and aggressively. Waiting in the queue at their respective checkouts, they passed the time by glaring at each other and willing the people in front to move more quickly so that each could beat the other to the cashier.
Brilliant. And now we have Patricia Jarman with something we don't really need here, a beginner's guide to growing old. Brilliant. So let's have a huge round of applause for the Chelsea Scribblers. Oh, wait. Tony, I cannot believe I've just done that. I usually do it to you, Garda, don't I? Tony, last but definitely
This is a beginner's guide to cooking breakfast. With Mum in hospital overnight and Dad at work, the teenage twins, Justin and Jamie, were hungry, so decided to cook breakfast. Jamie got the cookery book out. First, get the frying pan and add cooking oil, read Jamie. Justin found a wok and half filled it with oil. Next, take some rashers of bacon and put them in the pan. Well, that doesn't look right. The bacon's floating around on top of the oil, said Justin. Jamie handed him margarine, milk and 2 eggs. Then read, scrambled eggs. Crack the eggs into the saucepan with butter or margarine, milk and a little pepper and salt. Right, said Justin. Put in half a pack of margarine, half a pint of milk into the saucepan, and then cracking open 4 eggs. Oh, the eggshells have all gone in as well. With floating rashers and a mess in the saucepan, they decided it was too complicated and to try something simpler, like boiled eggs. Half fill the saucepan with water and bring it to the boil, read Jamie. Minutes later, Justin asked, how do I know the water's boiling? Put your finger in, suggested Jamie. Justin shouted, that's bloody hot, I burned my finger. Well, it should be fine to put the eggs in now, said Jamie. So when Mum does it, there's bubbles, I think. Soon the water was boiling, so Justin dropped the eggs in. How do I get them out again? I'm not putting my hand in. Well, Mum fishes them out with a spoon. Justin gingerly put the eggs into the egg cups, then cut them open, and Jamie said, oh, they cut them open, and Jamie said, there's no yolk. Oh, yes, a long way down. You put the eggs in the cups upside down. We cook breakfast all on our own, said Justin proudly.
It was worth listening to it, Tony. It's good to have a really good end line, and I think that's a great end line, Tony. Thank you. And we have someone else on stage who's going to read. Which group are you from, Simon? Okay, Cemetery Writers. So let's hear it for Simon Smith.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me okay. Just a quick thing. This is Mr. Howe's in the 1980s. It's a bit more 70s than 80s. But just to thank all the organisers for putting a deep shag pile carpet down. That's fantastic, thank you. Anyway, Mr. Hounslow, 1970s, 80s, whatever it is. An ugly mind at 17. Oh, I've forgotten where I am now. An ugly mind at 17. A joystick straight is all he'd been. A manhood prick, all guileless ploy. The insane, undue, a laughing goy. A jigsaw man with no own face. Jigsaw man with no own face. Oh, this is embarrassing. I had this memorised. Sorry.
That's all right, we're all with you and we want to hear it, so if you need to use your phone, feel free to
Anyway,
use it.
no people's hero, no founding grace. A sick feeling, a life bungled by a sick feeling. In a tangle, jumped the gun. Said it all wrong. Ever got drunk? Never got out of it? Ever held someone? Ever held someone and talked too much? Ever thought, why can't I really hold them? Why can't I hold them till the tears run down our cheeks? In a park, in a room, alone. Time cuts, time cuts, time cuts. As in a race, a running race. To save face, To win or without sin, time cuts, time hurts. Saturday night, that's cutting. We all grow up in a suburban public house. Our eyes ache with the smoke, and conversation dithers in view of visual self-abuse. The Saturday night crowd of know-them-alls hover over pints of it, and more of that hides their fear of boredom. Tired dresses hang about girls who are pleased that way. Only youth's fine splendour shines through. And then there was you, a glance of brown hair, a glance moment of truth. A suburban wish for love lies empty with brown carpet feeling, deep shag-piled anger. Deep shag-piled anger. Deep shag-piled anger. Barking to release, swinging to something. And then it went quiet or something like that. Shit. Then it went quiet. God. Swinging with anger. And then it went quiet. Right, okay. Yeah, anyway. Confused, something about confused. A man dressed in jumper, just snatching at feathers, only wind in his hands. And, sitting, waiting, colourless. He ekes out his everlasting life, his long and tasking life of ever new nights. And then, one day, he crosses his heart, twice. He steps into life's space. One day he spoke, and someone heard. He told them about his life, explained about his father and his wife. He talked for all time until time mattered no more. And then each tree glowed more green, each view more depth of view. And all he'd done, he felt as if he created the sun. He felt he'd discovered the scent of sun, a dish that warmed his lips. And he'd only done, in truth, all he'd done is open up his door. And it felt like spring in all time. Past traumas passing, new love lasting. I know someone, but it felt like spring in all time. The warmth it brought made him feel stronger. The feeling of limbs that were not only stronger but longer. Understated understanding. The trauma of past loves passing. True love now lasting. He even felt the tremble of love's lost time. Some men wouldn't see the woods. We wouldn't talk about the trees. We're not taught to voice our stuff, and it should be part of GCSEs. So please, help one kid to voice his problems without him losing face, because one less angry man would make this world a safer place.
You kept it really cool. So another huge round of applause. So just to say, I can see there's a lot of fanning going on. You've done really well. It's very warm in here. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break, but before we do, let's hear it for
I'm going to change my clothes only. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Actor, I dropped some things under your chair.
This is already on.
It's on?
This is on.
Okay, oh.
I can get, I guess, one more there if it's not occupied. Do you want me to get one more there?
What?
One more aircon unit there.
Yeah, I think so. Let's just
Okay.
give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, full.
Mommy, all teachers. something like that, but I couldn't hear you.
Or should be open.
No,
It's not doing anything, the thing. They should open the door so that it can get a draft. I'm gonna ask them to do that. Because it's not working.
Another one there. Maybe you need to do this. Which one? Do this. Yeah, very helpful. How is your shoulder? If I do my exercise, I think I feel better. Are you still going to physio? No, but just for 6 sessions. They told us we can ask for more sessions, but no, I didn't. How's everything? Yeah, it's called Java because I think it will take more longer than 9. Can you say more or you want to? I'm taking the bus right in front of it. Oh, good. Which one? Yes. هنوز حالا طول میکشه ها برای اینکه الان بین چیز یعنی استراحتیم و ما همون روی آخره فکرم دیرتر مشکل خبر فعلا خدا آره منطقه قبلا جدا بود دیگه حالا که نه خیلی خرده الان که ما رو آوردن داخل خودمونم آوردن داخل ما رو بیرون نگه داشته بودن الان دیگه نمیشه ما رو آوردن من گوشیم چیز صداشو بستم اگه زنگ زدی نشده صداشو بستم Java send you hello, send the regards. Give his regards. No, because he can't tolerate the busy and noisy areas because of their ear. He told no, I can't. Oh yeah, please. Do you want my phone? Or do you have enough space? Yeah. If you can, yeah. Very kind of you. Where did you meet Maricruz? Peter Jones? Yeah, because I thought that they have been here. Otherwise, I might get
Ice, that was a good idea.
Well, this is possible. Oh dear, when did that happen?
Last time.
Start?
No, last time.
Does Peter know?
Yes. But just and I actually said to you, I don't order here. I'm not having one. I haven't invited it to come.
Terrific.
Would your chin go to the loo?
I asked her if she had some water. Has she? Maybe she got to do.
And do you think she's got one of these already?
And then
Hiya, did Jenny go? Jenny? Oh, right. So just, no, not very often. Lady. Okay, but she hasn't come back. Do you remember that?
Come and join you for a minute.
Just going to ask you how you're enjoying it. Oh, there's one, there's one. Anyway, enjoy the other half. How are you doing, Lee? We'll get a glass of wine after.
And I wrote it myself because of my school. Because every time you did class, you just
back, everyone. With no further ado, let's just continue. I would like to welcome to the stage Carol Cooper and Poonam Madar, who has been her teacher and creative writing teacher, who'll just say a few words. So you can just stand up. Put your hands together.
Good evening. I was invited to join the Carers Network during COVID in 2020. And so I was delighted to do that, and the creative writing workshops happen online twice a month with Poonam and Roshni, as you just heard. And I was then a long-distance carer for my mother, who relocated from London to Stonehaven in 2020. About 14 years ago, actually. She wanted to be near my younger sister, and I used to do the journey up there by train 3 times a year. The journey is 7 hours, sometimes much longer, when storms raged and the line was blocked by fallen leaves. So I'm going to read a very short haiku from my mother. Anne Maureen Cooper, my 90-year-old mother, memory fading. My mother then celebrated her 90th birthday in December 2020 in her gardens. It was COVID and we couldn't meet indoors. And I can still picture her wrapped up to the nines to keep warm. This is the daily service. Yesterday, Mother did read, "I want that hymn at my funeral." She was referring to "Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father." She went on to say she also wanted the 23rd Psalm. "The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want." I didn't get the chance to ask her which tune she'd prefer. One is Trimond, the other, I forget. Her mantra changed from "This will be my last Christmas and makes me lie down in green pastures" to "I think I'll be around for another year. He leaves me beside still waters." Today she trotted out the usual mantra like a broken record, and it restores my soul. My mother actually died 2 years ago in June 2024. Well, my father was 20 years older than my mother. He died in 2008, aged 98, but he was a very active man, even in his later years after he retired at 70. He loved to sail, and he liked rock climbing, and he even went canoeing, something I've never done. So I wrote this in a workshop with Time for Me, and it's actually the
title of the poem Praise Song to My Father is after Grace Nichols, who wrote Praise Song to My Mother, who some of you may know. You were sky to me, vast and blue and singing. You were rock to me, high and smooth and weathering. You were silver to me, bright and shiny and burnishing. You were the wind in the sails to me, the regular watches on the tall ship to me, the sailor on the Caribbean Sea, climbing the rigging, higher, higher. Thank you. Okay, I think that was very, very moving, beautiful. So let's hear it again for Carol Cooper. And thank you to Pina Nadar also. Only just met. This is the problem with us creative writing teachers. We need to go on a booze up together. Sorry. All right, so we're all here now. We're all here in the space. So when I say it's time for Open Age Poets, they are going to walk down, and we're going to give them a lovely round of applause as they come. Which is great, because we're continuing the theme of poetry. We're keeping it going. Okay. That's what we do on a Wednesday afternoon. Is we're a mixture of, actually, now and again we get some newcomers, which is great, but otherwise some people who've been doing the Wednesday even before I started 4 years ago, so I've been doing it for 4 years now. And you would think that there would not, you'd be repeating yourself. Do I repeat myself? But poetry is so exciting, everybody. Just to let you know, there's always new things, new forms to find. It's just so great. If you think that poetry is the dry stuff you did in school, well, you've got another thing coming. So here you go. Let's hear it for the wonderful poets, and then we're going to start with the wonderful Abby.
Okay, this is called The Reaper. Black hooded, scythe held high behind my shoulders, the Reaper stalking me, slashes relentlessly, daily the numbers off my calendar, 1, then 9, 19, 33. Are those yellowing, jagged teeth jeering or cheering? Disbelieving his persistent cutting away of my days, I shout through gritted teeth. Slow down, please. This countdown of my days. Woo! Another one we'll go through. At the London Palladium. What on earth am I doing sitting here after my fast this day? Boisterous, gesticulating men and women all about, partying as if it's New Year's Eve, when it's only the eve of St. Paddy's Day. The chunky, shirted guy nearest me is bellowing and waving his felt cowboy hat in flourishing swoops all about. Feet thumping, fingers snapping, his beefy shirted mates equally loud. Leaping over seats, dropping cans of beer, spilling popcorn. Oh dear, whatever made me come here? Because Nathan Carter and his wild band are the main show. Saxophone, trumpet, trombone, clarinet and pipe, banjo, electric fiddle, 2 guitars, drum kit. Oh, what a kick. And there's Nathan everywhere, singing on piano, crooning into the mic, then jiving with his accordion. The hall is full of joy. Now we all are on our feet, wildly dancing to the beat, bringing in the ancestors, sensing the land, sheep, peat. It's all in the music and voice, this fantastic Irish meat. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you, Andrew. Just checking, Carol, is Carol out there anywhere?
She did a poem earlier. Okay, no problem. Okay, so now that means it's straight to you, Douglas Bannister.
Hi, my poem is based on a rhyme by James Whitcomb Riley. A wee little worm in a hickory nut sang happy as he could be. For I live in the heart of the whole round world, and it all belongs to me. So my poem's about knee-wobbling happiness, when wow is the only word that will do. I'd love you to join in and say wow when I give you the signal. So my poem's called
Wow!
Worm's Own World. No thunderbolts or lightning, no Damascus blinding awakening, just a slow seeping realization, like no longer being in pain, that everything was perfect. From the azure blue beyond, etched with 2 thin white vapor trails, from 2 tiny silver speeding jets ploughing towards the heavens through a cloudless, perfect sky. From the verdant green lawns to the yellows, browns and reds, like a tapestry woven on trees, like a cozy autumnal knitted jumper, the perfect blanket to bury your eyes. And like a worm buried in the moment, blinded to all beyond the immediate, just one word.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
Absorbed only in the here and now, nestled in my worm's own world. I hope you'll find out.
Wow!
Maybe in the chattering trust of happy company, in a reassuring squeeze or a lasting kiss from someone who thinks you're wonderful, and say,
wow!
In your worm's own world.
And now it's Helena McHugh with her poem Footprint. Yes,
No. I'm Helena, and this, my poem is called The Brink. She began as a spark in the night, like a flint and a glint of light. Through ancient storms and star nurseries she came, past sonars and quasars and exploding supernovas, past red giants and tranquil yellow suns. Somewhere from the universe beyond the stars, a slender light who travelled far, came to rest and said, I'll stay here. And Mother said, You're welcome. Mother Earth said, You're welcome, dear. I'll provide a body for you to inhabit. You have to have one on this planet. She looked at the body. How could she fit? It was so small and she so big. Each atom had had a life before, as a rock or a tree or a dinosaur. The carbon had been forged in a dying star. Every particle was from near or far. She expressed her gratitude to Mother Earth. She was looking forward to this birth on Earth. But just as she approached the brink, she noticed her heart begin to sink. I don't want a body. I've changed my mind. It will make me heavy and my third eye blind. Besides, I've remembered this planet's unkind, and I'll have to leave my life behind. I think I'll just carry on roaming around. The angel beside her spoke in her ear. We will be with you, have no fear. We will be with you both day and night. We will help you remember your life. Yes, I promise, we won't leave you alone. But I won't remember that it isn't my home. We will walk with you every step. But when I get there, I'll forget. I won't remember that you care. I won't even know that you're there. The angel blinked and thought of it. Actually, I think you might like it. Being in a body is quite an adventure. You may even find the joy you seek forth. And if you love beauty, you'll love this planet, the trees, the hills, and everything on it. You'll feel the wind and the rain, smell the grass and the leaves, feel the love and the pain, climb the moss-covered trees. You'll dance round the flames with your dearest friends, play secret games, tell stories without end. You'll swim in the waves and dig in the earth. You'll be taken care of after your birth. You'll laugh and you'll weep and hear robins tune. You'll watch the sunset and sleep and sing to the moon. See the silvery globe down there below? She says, all right, I'll go, and plunges into the light of the sky and sees white clouds go whizzing by. A throng of star beings wish her well. We'll come to visit you as well. Remember to play and take your ease, all the pale blue lights of the Pleiades. Then she smells the breath of trees, gasps at sunlight slipping over the seas, and in a moment she arrives, a glint of paradise in her eyes.
Wow.
Yes!
And next we have a wonderful Maggie Garson.
I know, I don't have copy of that. It's amazing, beautiful.
In my first poem, my first poem is a letter poem. It's called Dear Mozart. Dear Mozart, we've had a rocky relationship. It didn't start well, did it? You are the music prodigy I conceived. Most of my piano lessons earned me numerous knuckle raps from my piano teacher's ruler. I know I didn't practice between lessons, but sorry to say, your piano pieces for beginners failed to inspire that 7-year-old. You no doubt wrote them before you were even weaned. But, dear Mozart, in my later years, I've fallen in love with you and want to thank you with all my heart. Dear, divine, delightful, darling Mozart, thank you for your exquisite operas, for Don Giovanni, for the Magic Flute, Cosa fan tutte, the Marriage of Figaro, and there's others I don't know yet, waiting for me to discover. In your short life, you have created so much and have brought joy to the world. 1,000 thank yous, dear Mozart. So the second one is composed of 8 haiku on aging. The haiku followed, it's a Japanese style of writing. It follows a pattern of 5-7-5 syllables. So it has 8. Number 1. Have I hearing loss? My son asks. Can you hear birds? They serenade us. 2. Can't see? Do not fret. Cataract operations are easily done. 3. Hips, knee replacements,
More sophisticated ops join a quite long queue. 4. On longevity, curse or not, just enjoy it. Concessions can help. Number 5. Bette Davis declared, aging just 8 for sissies. I know what she meant. 6. Some older people only talk about their health. Organ recitals. 7. Live long in blue zones. Grow organic veg. Drink wine. Enjoy both with friends. 8. Losing our dearests is the real curse of aging. They stay in our hearts.
Wonderful, thank you, Maggie. And Mike Travis. Let's bring the big change. Let's do a microphone.
Hello, I've got 2 poems. The first one is called The Passing Years, and the second one is called Cinderella. The Passing Years. I remember my father towards the end, struggling with his socks and shoes. He couldn't reach, he couldn't bend. He had to find some way, some ruse to carry out this daily task. It was hard to witness, tough to see. How did it come to this, you ask? How could a man as smart as he find such simple tasks as these, so difficult, so hard to do? Why couldn't he just bend his knees? It seemed a mystery to me and you. And now that 20 years have passed, I see it all, my time has come. I move more slowly, not so fast. The mystery's solved, it's not so rum. As I sit on the stairs to put my socks on, it's my turn to be patient, to find a way. Where has the time gone? Now I must struggle day by day. Old age is not for wimps, he'd say. I smiled at his words each morn. It's my turn now to keep old age at bay, as I wield my trusty brown shoe horn. Cinderella. Sweet, kind, lovely Cinderella, you were longing for a fella, but those wretched, ugly sisters, a curse on them, may they get blisters, were nasty, brutish, utter bitches, nay, worse than that, they were witches. They made you toil and slave away, while they flounced around all day. But hey, who is this? Your fairy godma, come to see you. What a star! 'Twas she who got you to the ball, and you entranced them, one and all. But most importantly, the prince. Thank God your hair had had a rinse. You were the owner of that slipper, and now you're going to have a nipper.
Thank you, Liz. And now Pamela Carr with the Ascent.
Okay, this is called The Ascent. The seed is waiting, huddled inside its tiny base camp until winter snow and storms have passed, and the cruel frost which bites at tender extremities has died away, until the strong destructive winds have abated, waiting until climbing season comes. The seed secures its base camp, long pale ropes extend into secure stable ground, tendrils insinuating deep between stone and rock, strong anchor points, 1,000 miniature pitons. And now the first assault. The extending stem, a supply chain carrying water, rich in minerals, fresh from base camp, upwards along the line of ascent. Leaves rotate through all points of the compass to find their best aspects in the face of the sun. Feed on sunlight for energy, essential supplies for the upward push into the realm of the sky. At night, the climber rests, its tender buds enclosed, wrapped in a leaf green tent, beneath a universe of endless stars, bathed in faint silver moonlight, pale as ice, cold as space. A race to the peak, to the summit of ambition, to climb higher and faster, to leave all rivals behind, struggling to compete, to conquer in the quest for sunlight. Don't stop to rest, green climber. Climbing season is short. Daylight is decreasing. The sun's power is declining. Your supply chain running empty. Each exhausted climber drops its heavy leafy load and bows its tired head down towards the base camp in the earth below.
And last but definitely not least, Zoe Gosman. Let's hear it for Zoe.
As Tracy mentioned, do lots of different poetic forms, and the poetic form I've chosen poetic form I've chosen this time is a cento. Cento is composed of lines and phrases from different poems and poets and stitched together to create a completely new poem. My poem tonight is a cento, and it's based on rules. It's a tribute to my granddaughter who would like to see rules reintroduced worldwide. I've taken the lines from an eclectic mix of sources: Ted Hughes, Bruce Springsteen, Carol Ann Duffy, and a parallel commonly attributed to the Cherokee tradition. The poem is called The Wolf Within Me. I'm running through the forest with a wolf at my heels, the wolf at the door and the wind upon the moor. Two green eyes shone, and a wolf lay down beside me. The breath of the wolf in my ear was a love poem, whispered by those who trusted the white-hot wolf in me. For I, as a woman and partly wolf, I howl at the moon. Think of my true love. I howl to the moon, letting the anger out of me. When my heart is breaking, I'll dance with the wolves. We cannot say whether out of agony or joy. The battle is between the two wolves inside us all. Good or evil, the one you feed wins. Now can you all join me in letting your own wolf out with a really good howl? You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay, everybody, let's have a big round of applause for our wonderful, wonderful poet. Yes, you can find a space, the lights are up, and I'm going to hand over to you, Jenny. Is that okay?
Hello, and so now Abby doesn't want to leave. Yeah, we are. So now let me introduce the Life Stories group, so another one of Julie's groups. So if I could grab everyone from Life Stories to come down, that would be great. So Life Story students learn the skills to put their lives on the page. So this group allegedly is supportive, sociable and very friendly. Is that correct? And with no further ado, I would love to introduce Abby. Julie.
going to tell us about Bus 27.
Bus 27. It was mid-afternoon, just a bit after 3 p.m., when Bus 27 from Paddington finally arrived at the Queensway stop. The bus driver signaled me to get on, even before the mother queuing with her baby pram next to me. I did so rather quickly, grateful to finally be out of the cold, windy air. I was desperately hoping to rest my tired legs and find a seat on the long, overdue bus. The bus appeared to be jam-packed. Being tall, I managed to see a vacant priority aisle seat. Those seats reserved for older people and others needing assistance. An elderly gentleman in a black fedora and a navy blue suit was occupying the window seat. His height, even while sitting, was noteworthy, and his outfit suggested great care given to create his own fashion statement. My seatmate sported a blue-bordered pochette and wore a gold signet ring on his little finger. I sensed he was on a special outing, going to an elegant place or an important event. But where to, and at this time of day, and at his seemingly advanced age? Was he going to pick up a lady and accompany her to a birthday celebration? I sat quietly next to him, speculating and fantasizing. Our seats were facing forward and near the space left for wheelchairs and buggies. Coming down the aisle was the mother with the baby pram, attempting to maneuver into that area. Unfortunately, one baby was already parked there, and the newly arrived mother was not navigating her parking slot very well. Suddenly, my seating companion lurches his long, thin torso forward, stretches out his big, gnarled hand, and in an accented English, Polish, Serbian, I don't recognize the accent, says something to direct the mother and baby into the tight space. Back and forth goes Mama, trying to park. No success, until another nearby passenger physically helps, and soon, baby carriage parked, the bus starts moving. No more sounds or rudeness from my neighbor, no talking. At the Notting Hill Gate bus stop, he pushes the button to get off. My tall gentleman then heaves back and forth in his seat to gather momentum to stand up on his long, thin legs. He grasps his metal cane, shuffles out the bus, and goes directly into the darkness of the betting shop just adjacent to the bus stop.
Next, we're going to hear from Catherine McGuinness, and she's going to read a story called The Place I Used to Live.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. Roll back a few years, at least 45 years, to this story when I was the slip girl. A place where I used to live. For about a year, I lived and worked in an extraordinary house in Sussex Gardens, while employed as a private nurse for an elderly, entitled Lady. Although I was there in a professional capacity, I spent so much time within those walls that I felt it like a second home. The house was a 4-storied mid-century mansion that seemed untouched by time. Nothing appeared to have changed for decades. The paintwork was faded, the furnishings were worn, and every room carried an air of faded grandeur. Rather than feel neglected, however, the house possessed a unique beauty. It was decayed elegance at its finest, a place where the past lingered in every corner. The most remarkable feature was the oval-shaped ballroom on the first floor. A balcony ran around the entire space, overlooking a polished floor below. Whenever I entered that room, that vast room, it was easy to imagine Victorian couples gliding gracefully across the floor to the magical sound of the orchestra. The house felt as though everyone had left in a hurry and never returned, leaving their stories behind. The titled lady I cared for had a form of dementia that allowed her lucid moments of maybe an hour at a time. This was my opportunity to encourage her to have a little exercise, play some of her favorite music in the background, and open up the numerous photo albums. I was so impressed that she had dated each photograph, named names, and the occasion recorded. On other occasions, she would ask me to fetch her chariot, meaning her wheelchair, to wheel her through the wide mansion corridors and into the grand rooms. As we moved through the house, she would tell me stories about aristocratic guests who had once visited, along with snippets of gossip that seemed to belong exclusively to those walls. Listening to her was like stepping into another era. Through her memories, the house became alive. When she was lucid, she was wonderful company. It was easy to imagine her being a wonderful hostess. Just as suddenly, the curtain came down and she retreated back into her silent world until the next time. I grew deeply attached to both the lady and her house. There was something magical about working in a place so rich in history and character. Each faded photograph seemed to hold a memory. It was impossible not to feel connected to the generations of people who had lived there before, celebrated and grown old together. Eventually, her lucid moments were getting less frequent, and time came for her to be transferred to a nursing home in Hove near Brighton. Although I understood the necessity for her move, I felt a profound sadness as I prepared to leave. Driving away from the mansion for the last time, the car rolled over the cobblestones, and I glanced back at the lovely house. In that moment, I felt as though I was leaving behind not only a building, but an entire world. This ended a chapter of my life that I will never forget, even now. When I think of a place where I used to live, I remember that remarkable house or mansion in Sussex Garden. A house filled with faded splendor, forgotten stories, and memories that continue to stay with me.
nothing. Now Lois Dane is going to read a story called A Cold Too Far.
This is a short. In my 20s, I appeared in a play called All in Good Time by Bill Norton, who would also wrote Alfie, my king. I was the juvenile lead, a rather grand expression now, but well used in repertory theatre. It was set in Bolton, and as I was born there, it helped me to get the part at the Mermaid Theatre. It was a huge success. And consequently, it moved to the Phoenix Theatre in the West End. The play was about a marriage that hadn't been consummated. One evening, Herbert Miles, who played the father, was supposed to be doing a voiceover while we, the married couple, were lying in bed. He missed his cue, making us improvise and very nearly consummate the marriage. Finally, he did appear at the stage. He did appear as the stage manager went to Bernard's dressing room and found him talking to his parrot. One morning, there woke up a terrible cold. I'm not feeling at all like performing in a matinee. But the show must go on. I decided I'd use my cold in the performance. I was very keen on Lee Strasberg's The Method. So, very carefully, placed my Kleenex tissues around the stage. When the play was finished, there was a knock on my dressing room door. I said, "Come in." In walked the great Laurence Olivier. He said to me, "This is true. My dear, either you're the greatest actress in the world,
And finally, we've got Maria Rawlinson, and she's going to read a story called Listen to the Quiet Voice.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Listen to the quiet voice. On a warm Indian summer day at the end of September 1976, Charlie Kenyon, known to everyone as Barley, married his sweet bride Sarah in Norfolk. My brother Charlie was his best man, just as Barley had been his in May earlier that year. At the end of the reception, my parents were in a hurry to leave, as they were taking me on to my onward destination, Ickworth in Suffolk, for a wonderful weekend. My father was making irritating, hurry-up, beckoning gestures to me, and I called out, "Please, Daddy, just 5 minutes more. I must take some photographs of them leaving." Then, with a blown kiss and a wave, they were gone. And so was I. The following Tuesday, when weddings and weekends were already fading into the distant past, I managed to have a horrid argument with my younger brother, who was 5 years my junior, over something extremely trivial. Anyway, he finished breakfast and stomped out, and that was that, or so I thought. After breakfast, I went upstairs, and then wandered into the hall to see whether any post had arrived. And there I found my brother sobbing. "Goodness, Richard," I said, "there's no need to make such a big deal of it. It's really quite trivial whether men are more intelligent than women." No, he said, "Barley's dead." Dead? Of course not. How could that be? He's on his honeymoon. It transpired that Venice, where Barley and Sarah had planned to spend their honeymoon, was flooded. So they stayed instead at the Bear in Woodstock. On Sunday evening, after dinner, Barley had run out of Chesterfield cigarettes, and as the hotel did not stock them, he got into the car, leaving Sarah drifting off to sleep with a loving kiss and the words, "I won't be long." He set off on the short journey to Oxford to buy the wretched cigarettes. On the journey back, his car went out of control, left the road, hit the gates of Blenheim, and that was that. Poor darling Sarah, what she must have felt when she was awakened by the police, or perhaps members of the hotel staff, I cannot imagine. Our family were deeply traumatized. Barley was like another brother to me. Having been orphaned at an early age with only a sister living in Scotland, he had practically lived with us throughout much of his teens and 20s. The funeral took place on a cold, frosty day in November. He was laid to rest alongside his family. I can still remember the crunching sound of the frozen earth beneath my feet as we left the cemetery in somber silence, tears in our eyes, turning almost to icicles. A week or so later, I had been invited to a dance in Berkshire, but I did not feel like going. My parents insisted. Barley Kenny would not have wanted you staying at home being miserable. They said he was so full of life, he adored parties and loved dancing, you must go. So dutifully, I did as I was told. I drove to the party in my Mini, and to my surprise, had a whale of a time. I left a little before dawn, tired but extremely happy, not a drop of alcohol having passed my lips. I was about an hour down the M4 when I awoke with a great start. I had fallen asleep at the wheel. My car was heading directly towards the central reservation. I woke because I heard my name being called and felt a light touch on my left shoulder. I turned towards the passenger seat. Sitting there, not looking ahead, but turned sideways towards me, was a man in a smart blazer and cravat, exactly as he would have dressed while staying with us on holiday in Marbella. His left elbow rested on his knee. Between his fingers was a lit Chesterfield cigarette. The familiar red and white logo was unmistakable. It was Barley, smiling at me. Gently shaking my shoulder, he said, "Wake up, Maria, wake up." I looked forward and saw that I was only moments from crashing. I yanked the steering wheel, straightened the car, gathered my senses, and then turned to look at Barley again. But he was not there. I would like to say that I could smell his cigarette smoke. Perhaps I did, or perhaps it was simply my own, for I smoked in those days, although I certainly did not have a lighted cigarette in my hand. I continued my journey without further incident and arrived home safely in one piece to tell the tale of the quiet voice that saved my life. One last note. In those days, we took our rolls of film to the chemist to be developed. When I opened the envelope, every photograph had come up perfectly. Those taken before the wedding, the arrival at the church, and those from the wonderful weekend afterwards. But not one photograph I had taken of Mr. and Mrs. Charlie Kenyon leaving their wedding reception had ever appeared.
Thank you to you all for braving the heat this evening to support us at Open Reach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now if I could welcome our final group, the wonderfully monitored Team Tom. we can all put our hands together, please, for our final group team vote. And to kick things off, we will have Christine Guillen reading her piece, A House in France.
Can you hear me? Yes. I feel a bit of a fraud actually, because this is a bit of a life story, and behind me sit the real creative artist, so forgive me. I arrived here chubby, I'm going home quite thin, so there's some positivity to the theme. Well, there's lots actually. This is called A House in France. When my late husband announced we're going to buy a house in France, I assumed he had kindly lost the plot. By then, he'd already contacted estate agents and booked the ferry. Marrying an army officer, I had learned was less a romance than a long-term posting under command. So, in the summer of 1990, we bought a collapsing farmhouse beside a cemetery, yes, a cemetery, in the Pas de Calais. It demanded imagination on an Olympic scale. We hired a French architect and began restoring our ruin. Our big plan was to move there one day with our 2 children. I should add that this was entirely his plan. I was merely a camp follower, conscripted without consultation and expected to be terribly grateful. We had romantic illusions about France, wine, pungent cheese, and gazing over our house and our land. In reality, the land was a rock-strewn wasteland. The architect remodeled the house and replaced a heroic number of windows. Trying to compliment him in dreadful constipated French, I meant to say, the windows lifted my heart. What I actually said was that I had had a boob job. With magnificent Gallic charm, he shrugged and replied in equally terrible English that he'd quite liked them before. The next milestone was the fosse septique, lowered ceremoniously into a vast hole in the garden while we watched with royal reverence. When the lavatory finally flushed, we cheered as if we'd split the atom. Then the mayor arrived, peered into the abyss, and listened gravely and announced, "Fantastique, your fosse septique." We celebrated with wine in several colours and cries of "Vive la France!" My husband wanted to mention Waterloo. I restrained him. One should never squander political capital over a septic tank. Once the house became marginally less dangerous, friends began asking to stay. These visits were never the idyll people imagined. We didn't so much host guests as run a really badly supplied bed and breakfast for the sunburnt and ungrateful. We supplied breakfast, beach trips, menu translations, and worst of all, we did their laundry. One very large guest, I believe he ended up as an MP, asked me to wash his impressively large shorts instead of MP. You couldn't just run these through the washer, could you? Yes, old girl. Of course, I said, not realising several square metres of nylon were about to defeat our humble cold autumn sheet. He sat wrapped in a towel while I clanked through the spin cycle, grateful but exposed. Family descended too, notably my mother and her granddaughter, who regarded the whole enterprise as somewhere between an adventure holiday and live theatre. One morning, my 10-year-old niece, who happens to be here tonight, now a 41-year-old mother of 4, burst into our bedroom and announced, "Sorry, Maria, Auntie Christine, come quickly, there's a cow in the kitchen." My husband shot out of bed and thundered downstairs. A moment later he shouted back, "Wrong, Maria, there are 2 cows in the kitchen." The cows were enormous, aggrieved and uncertain how to leave. They jostled between the table and the sink, mooing like guests who had not been properly received. We sprinted to fetch Florence, our dairy farming neighbour, who arrived with a stick and the expression of a woman already regretting living next door to foreign. With a few brisk words and a look that could curdle milk. Florence shepherded them out. She regarded us as useless townies who acquired a farmhouse by administrative error. I think she was right. My niece thought they simply popped in for breakfast. She still has the diary entry from the holiday headed, "When 2 cows came to Auntie Chris's." These were the days before the internet and mobile phones, so we relied on the telephone in the village bar. I would attempt, in dreadful French, to book electricians or chase builders, while local farm workers listened as if attending grand opera. When I finally hung up, having secured neither help nor dignity, they applauded, bought me a drink, I drank it quickly and fled. One Christmas we made the dreadful mistake of spending the holiday there. We tried to light the open fire and nearly set the house ablaze, having forgotten to clean the chimney. Then a storm tore off the roof tiles, and we spent the night huddled around an electric heater, listening to the weather dismantle our investment. The English insurance company coughed up a huge sum, which we used to repair the roof and finish the decorating. By then, we had a better idea. We advertised a lovely French farmhouse, the Holiday Let, in the Officers' Gazette, and were flooded with bookings. Families arrived, full of optimism, paid in francs, and took possession of the house, the cemetery ghost, and the old battlements above the Channel Coast. We drove straight to the south of France, where there were beaches, sunshine, and not a cow in sight indoors. It was the first time the farmhouse had properly worked for us. In the end, we sold the house to the mayor's delightful son, a mason, who used the barns for his stones and lorries. Years later, passing through on our way south, we saw the back field bright with the daffodils we planted. It wasn't a grand legacy, but it was a small piece of England in a French field, left behind by people who had absolutely no business buying a house in France in the first place.
Well done, Chrissy. Irene. That one or this
That's
one?
about right. Can you hear me? Yes, hello, I'm Irene. Good evening all. Thank you for coming. This is called Brenda. It was more than 40 years since she had started her little afternoon parties, just twice a week in those early days. She needed the rest of the time to care for her son and to tend her beautiful garden, which was her pride and joy. The house in Claygate had been perfect, discreetly tucked away on a private estate. She served champagne, smoked salmon sandwiches, cake, and tea or coffee. Comforting foods, because that was what they wanted, really, wasn't it? Comfort. Those Soho walk-ups, tart cards in phone boxes, and so-called massage parlours were all disgusting, degrading for all involved. Recruiting her initial 4 lovely ladies to serve the tea and other delights had been easy. Plenty of bored housewives happy to make it as a secret life. Word of mouth ensured her parties became popular, too popular. When angry notes and phone calls had no effect, the neighbours resorted to calling the police about the twice-weekly queues of men outside her house. Naturally, she could deal with that. Roger, the local bobby, was happy to be comforted, and he loved the cake and champagne too. Eventually, she had to move the operation, choosing a large house in Fulham, where there were more people around, and her waiting gentlemen were less conspicuous. Here she introduced a more diverse choice. One gorgeous girl just to look Brenda looking. George found himself wondering who would run things if she had to retire. From where I stood, the picture was altogether darker. As Brenda's legal representative and financial advisor, I'd had to come clean with her. She was too old, and she hadn't noticed that darling Ronnie had been ripping her off for years. I had drawn up the agreement when she gave over the drugs business to her beloved son. A very lenient 20% had been agreed. I wanted at least 40, but she was adamant that Ronnie should not have too heavy a burden on him while he found his feet. In reality, he hadn't paid her more than 2 or 3% in years. Fact is, she had been delighted when he'd asked to join her. Of course he had. He'd been disastrously unsuccessful in all the legitimate businesses he'd tried since graduating from Oxford. Only my legal ingenuity had saved him from prison after that ludicrous insurance scandal. Anyway, I had 2 hard truths to make before Madame Lee at our next meeting. She was too old to keep hold of the business, the staff were cheating her, and most of the properties badly needed repair and refurbishment. The second truth would cut deeper. Ronnie had betrayed her, and if she stepped aside, who exactly was left to run any of it? Brenda did not like the solicitor Ronnie had arranged to have power of attorney should she become Garber. This sharp-suited stranger was not going to get his sticky paws on her businesses. And so that insistent question, who would run things when she no longer could? Maybe she would wind it all up and sell the properties. Her lawyer would fix the inheritance tax for Ronnie. They'd set up a trust years ago, and most of it was registered offshore anyway. Oh, she had to sit down. Utter exhaustion suddenly overwhelmed her. She felt nauseous, the pain in her stomach, the pain in her chest. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't. And the Perkins died on June 26, 2026.
Thank you, Irene. And if we could now bring Isabel Bass.
Hear me? Good. Okay. My tutor Tommy invited me to take that piece, which we had, the last piece we wrote, and to turn it into a monologue, try and write a monologue play. So I said, why not? And so this is my first attempt at that, and then reading it out, and I'm really curious to see if it falls flat on all of you or not. Okay? Okay. Better? Yeah. Do you want me to repeat all that? No. Okay. Well, here I am, with blotch on a surgeon's illustrious career. 1 in 5,000 operations that went wrong. Well, if you thought that you would hear straight off what life's like now with this dreaded walker, you're mistaken, because I don't know where to start. Everything is different. Everything. Suppose you woke up one morning and you couldn't get out of your bed. You can't walk. You can't move your right arm. Your hands like a frozen claw. Incredible, no?
Go.
And what does it do? It flops down like a puffy, contaminated white fish. Bend knee, hip, 2. Come on. No movement. No movement. Okay. Well, this is temporary. This cannot be real. It's a dream. I know it's a dream, a temporary hiccup of a dream. But, well, no, my friend, the voice says inside. This is forever. You are now assigned up to save it. But I say, I did not sign up for this. Oh, tough, said my voice. Chin up. And so I say to myself, it's so tiring to let this sloppy walker. It's so demoralizing to spend time deliberating. Shall I trudge up the hill and write for Sainsbury? Or down the hill and to the left for the library? For me, it seems, no more scampering to the British Theatre, the National, the Sadler's Wells. But what startles me most is how to choose between these simple activities. Having to admit limited energy, limited experiences going forward, and limited gamboling, limited humility. My Tinkerbell days are over. Really upsetting. Okay, I do, however, have to cheer now, in my 182nd week, I can truly say I'm getting enough being an infirm. Yes, it could take a while, but eventually you do learn craftily to use it for your own ends. Jump the queues. Get help on and off the bus. Stop traffic. Demand special assistance at restaurants. Expect people to scatter as you approach. Assume outreached arms and hands will help you on your way. Last night what happened. It was England versus Ghana in the World Cup. The pavement outside my pub was heaving with young folk. I rolled down the street. So I approached all these young people. They cleared right out of my way. They jumped, leapt up from tables. They almost fought to resist me. Can you imagine? So I raised my hand in a half wave, which I had copied from King Camilla. Right. I modestly ordered, how very kind, but really not necessary. And I went on my merry way. That's it.
Next up, we have Leda Tusi reading her poem, The Fragrance of Memory.
The delightful fragrance of blooming jasmines in an alley alive with the sweet song of birds gently, gently carries me away towards the boundless sky of memory. Those distant years, to that splendid gathering I go, to that fair assembly of adorned youth, and I, in silent devotion to my beloved, behold his gaze, now resting upon the beautiful rival. Her perfume, heavy, unsettles my calm. Unseen, I slip away. into a bright and bustling bazaar I pass, where chandeliers shimmer like distant constellations, and the air, thick with spice and scent and rising incense, closes softly around me, and I, a shy teenager, step hesitant into the perfumer's shop. He kindles fragrant incense. It stirs, a sudden sneeze. Embarrassed, I turn and swiftly flee. My grandmother's house, the first time away from my parents, a small guest beneath her roof. She bids me pray upon her mat, that she too may share in the merit of my first prayer. In the corner, jasmines, finely embroidered, glimmer softly to the eye, and beside them, a small vial of perfume rests. Ah, how the fragrance of those stitched jasmines gently, deeply fills my childlike being, and I, in innocent pride and quiet joy, join my voice with hers, and recite the prayer, the delightful fragrance of blooming jasmines.
And now, Lou.
Hi everybody. It's only a short piece, you'll be glad to hear. And I invite you to dream, to put away all this hot weather and just dream. This is on the beach. The touch of sun after so many dull and rainy days warms my body and mind. I lean against the wall and imagine summer. Summer with an endless warmth. Summer with blue skies. Summer spent going down to the coast and languishing by the sea and in the sea. My mind conjures up the feeling of warmth from the sun beating down almost harshly. And then I am there. The sound of the sea is in my ears. The rumbling to and fro of the waves rolling along the beach, shifting the pebbles, which answer the voice of the sea, backwards and forwards, again and again, as the tide inexorably pushes in. It is time to apply sun lotion, covering all my exposed body, but not a patch on my back. This is where I could do with a partner. Well, such is life. I have no partner, and a friend who hates the sea. I rearrange my sarong to cover up that blind spot, and lie back to soak up the sun. The sun beats down on me. It is now almost too hot, and the longing to swim rises in me. It is time. Get gingerly to my feet, dislodging the pebbles stuck to me. Then forming my clothes and bag into a pile easily visible from the sea, I make my way down to the edge of the sea, picking my way carefully, avoiding the rough stones. The sea tickles my toes. It's still rather cold, and I think twice about going in. Then as the sea rises above my calves, it does not feel quite so cold, so I carry on slowly paddling in. And when it reaches my waist, I start shivering as I feel the deeper cold of the ocean, born in the waves, lapping my upper body. Again I debate with myself, do I really want to go in? I could still back out now. Courage. Take a deep breath, bend my knees, allowing the water to rise higher as the waves torment me. Then I go, pushing forwards into the deeper water. I circle my arms fast to build up some heat in my body. And then I am swimming parallel to the shore. Something miraculous happens. The heat of the sun and the cold of the sea, of the water, balance themselves. I'm one with water. I'm in love with water. I am in
Thank you, Lou. And now we have Sharon Ahern with God and Secrets.
Yes. The jolly ringtone makes me jump. It's the prisoner. The call is not a surprise. She hesitates before answering. Savouring. The jolly ringtone makes her jump. It's the prisoner. The call is not a surprise. She hesitates before answering, savouring the seconds between ignorance and knowledge. No. Her peace has been disturbed and there's no way it can be restored. She gazes out of the window at the world outside, her garden with its glorious roses, thorns hidden by the blooms, blue larkspur and monkswood bending in a breeze, purple clematis covering the old wooden fence dividing the garden from the river beyond, and the pond surrounded by reeds and purple irises. A garden that didn't need much tending. It always seemed to know what to do. She drags herself back to the present. The warden is brusque. You need to come, now. Her heart sinks. Why? What's happened? She stutters, dreading the answer. She hears the word knife and homemade as she begins to make sense of it all. Someone is dead. Someone is dead. Who? Is it him? She wills it to be him. Then the nightmare will finally be over. She dresses carefully. The press will be waiting. The press was waiting 10 years ago when the judge passed sentence in the stuffy, crowded courtroom. When he finished speaking, there was silence. Then the room exploded into chaos and noise. She sat alone until a comforting, kindly hand took her elbow and steered her away from the rabble through a small door at the back of the courtroom and out onto the almighty, quiet rectangle street. The press was indeed already there. They must have a very efficient information system, she thought. Prison guards make a path for her, and she quickly takes her seat again at the back of the stuffy room, back in that familiar place, a place she had hoped she would never have to see again. She glances quickly at the dock. Inside, protected by bulletproof glass and chained at the wrists and feet, stood. She couldn't bear to look at his face, but she had to. Was it him or not? Her knees felt like water. She clung to the rail in front of her. She'd know those eyes anywhere. Yes, it was him. The man who had ruled her life for so long. The violent, cold killer of a man with no remorse, no heart, no feelings. His eyes caught hers, not a flicker of recognition. She felt ice begin to fall around her heart. She stands. This world is not meant for me, she thinks. The walls of the courtroom, the shouting and braying of the spectators recede. She has a purpose. If I don't act, she thinks, someone else will face an untimely, vicious death. She doesn't acknowledge anyone, nor the whole of the court usher again. She slips quickly and quietly through the scene autumn. The garden looked even more beautiful in its autumn colours. Virginia creeper, golden, red and yellow, covered the wooden fence. Late flowering roses, beware of those thorns, cream and crimson, monk's blue and midnight purple blossoms, glowing in the darkness of shorter days. On an unusually warm October evening, glasses can hear clinking and laughter from the living room windows. She sounds happy. Meanwhile, down in the almost darkness of the evening, a man with no heart and no feelings is climbing over the fence between the garden and the river. Yes, it's him. As he creeps soundlessly, imperceptibly through the plants and vegetation, to the observant, patient viewer, it looks as if the plants are moving in his direction, undulating and shivering slightly. The Virginia creeper, for example, seems to wind its tendrils around the man's torso and anchor him to the ground. Roses, heavy with late flowers, and water from recent rainfall appear to drop around his face and scrape their thorns into his eyes. Blood flows. He remains silent. He tries to return the way he came, but the garden holds him so tight he is trapped. By now the clematis has wound itself around his throat. He can't breathe. Little by little, he is dragged underground where the insects gorge on his convalescent flesh. The press is the field day. The prison had no explanation. All that's left is his ring turned up by the gardener's fork the following spring, and recognised by the woman whose life he had dominated for so long. She, of course, said nothing, trusting that her garden always seemed to know what to do.
And then our final piece of the evening is by Susan Wintle. Susan's asked me to read these two pieces. The first piece is called, you all hear me?
Yes.
The first piece is called The Train. We were at the station, out of breath, just as the train was moving off. I should have left earlier. Bloody woman who thought she just can't be on time. I burst into tears. I looked frantically at the timetable. He looked enraged. He could lose it. What's all the fuss about, he said between clenched teeth. Pull yourself together. I couldn't tell him that my lover rang me. Klaus was bereft. He'd just been sacked from the paper. They thought it was him that had lied about the dates. No wonder they'd sacked him. We'd have to think, but now is not the time. I racked my brains. A good friend had phoned because her mother's had died. William mustn't guess in the slightest way. He'd kill me. I've got away with my life before, but this is different. He blew his nose and threw his tissue in the refuse bin beside us. Okay, we'll get the next one. Seated on the next train half an hour later, he stared out of the window before taking a nail file from his pocket and manicured his nails. What did you say your friend in the newspaper was called? And the next piece is a poem, The Sound of Silence. I watch a Cessna buzz the perfect sky. Childish laughter echoes, gardens swing still. They're gone. Birdsong, clear like water. Silence. Leaves crinkle, tissue paper rustles in the breeze. Small voices weave between the trees like silver threads. They're gone. Distant barking hammers. Silence. Evening sun casts cadmium glow of memories. Grandma, look at me. I close the book. We've gone. Mower rumbles. Silence. Thank you all for coming. I'd just like to introduce the wonderful Angela. Basically makes all of this happen for all of us. the dream.
Can everyone hear me? Because we've really run over time, and which has been fantastic. I mean, what an endurance, okay? Here we are, we've done it. We're going to do a kind of creative writing marathon. You guys have done everything. I'm going to just say, look, thank you performers, thank you audience, it's just been amazing. I also need to really thank my two MCs. So that's Lucy and Ollie. I like Tommy and Tracy and Julie, and if Brunan's still in the house, and Susie, just to come up, because these are the guys that make, and I shouldn't use that word guys, but these are the people that make these wonderful classes that you all participate in. So come up here. Who hopefully is coming on stage with her colleague Laura. But it's Sarah, you guys, she does everything with So, and Laura, come round here. So we've got like some thank you things for you guys, okay? Just because you've been amazing. So really, truly, thank you. And I'm sure the members will appreciate this little token to our fantastic tutors to make it all work out. We are up against a time limit. Sadly, in my script, I was going to say, oh, the bar is open, but it's closed. We need to be out of the house. Okay, I'm really sorry about that. I do need to just briefly say a message from our CEO, Emma Ford, because she really wants to be here, and it's very sad that she can't be tonight. And so she's doing the thank yous. I know I'm up against time. What we also want to thank you is the fact that we are very fortunate at Open. We do get funding. We get funding from the NHS, we get funding from the local authorities, we get funding. But it's never enough, So we do ask for donations. Look in your programme, we're always asking if anyone can help in any shape or form. It creates the classes that we want to run and the work that we want to do in order for you guys to have the best times. I don't want to say anything more than that. I'm sure I'm missing something very, very crucial that Emma will now, as I think I'm still being filmed, to see. But we are up against time. We do need to leave the building. But thank you all. Open Age is a community. I mean, the tutors come here and they love being with you. It's just been one of the best places I've ever worked. I do want you all to have a safe journey home. Yeah. And then, the other thing is, my ACL, learners will know what do I always need an evaluation. It's in the programme. You can email it to me, you can write it out, you can post it, you can do whatever. You know I need it, okay? And I think that's really it. I'm sorry, I didn't have the microphone in the right place. I can hear it now. Good. But thank you all for coming. And I think we should just clap each other and say what a brilliant evening it is.